They'll attack you even if you agree with them. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and just today I had a video that I published on June 1st called Why Are Black College Students So Angry? Put into restricted mode, further providing evidence that there are people who are totally out to get me and censor my channel. And what's the funny thing? Well, I think that you should watch the video for yourself, if you still can, as it is banned entirely in some countries. If you watch it, you'll find out that although they restricted this video due to some sort of hate speech accusation, the content of the video was mostly empathizing with Black students on college campus. The first 75% or so of my video, I explain the ways in which I imagine that Black students would feel uncomfortable on university campuses, and I say that I can completely understand why they would want to join groups for students of color, etc. I was so empathetic towards the angers of Black students, in fact, that several members of my audience wrote me disapproving comments in my comment section, which has now been disabled and erased, telling me that they disagree because they think that Black college students are allegedly privileged and have nothing to complain about. Really, out of all of my videos, this video would probably be one of the ones where I actually agree with social justice advocates about the majority of things. I never once blamed the Black students for their frustrations, and instead attempt to explain my perception of their frustrations to my audience. The only thing I pointed out that social justice advocates would likely object to is that although Black college students are understandably uncomfortable on university campuses, they basically get manipulated by social justice advocating professors whose life's work revolves around finding racism anywhere and everywhere, and these professors rally these students in often non-productive ways. That was basically it, but YouTube deemed it hate speech. Fortunately, they didn't actually give me a strike and terminate my channel, but we can assume that nobody making the decision actually really watched the video anyway, and we can also assume that eventually my channel will probably be terminated. Regardless, this type of thing has happened before with members of the fourth wave intersectional feminist social justice left, and me personally, numerous times. And to be perfectly truthful, this same type of thing happened numerous times during the Bush years when I would argue online with anti-gay Republicans. Even if I would even if I would agree with these people about something, then they would often say that they disagreed simply because it was me who was saying it. It became patently obvious that these people are so dead set on arguing with you as an individual because you don't prescribe to their grand unifying worldview that they'll often find ways of arguing with you even if you are agreeing with them. There are two examples in my life that come to mind immediately regarding arguments with the intersectionals in recent years. Once upon a time, a former friend of mine, this was probably in 2013, she was a young Black woman that was studying at university, and she complained publicly on Facebook about a white male diversity teacher who said something was white male bashing. That's white male bashing. And he said that as if it was a bad thing. She said that that was a horribly stupid thing for him to say, of course, because despite the fact that this Black woman had almost entirely dated white men and had almost entirely white friends for most of her life, she had become completely hateful of the white male patriarchy in recent months. The fact that a white male diversity teacher would object to white male bashing infuriated her, because from her vantage point, apparently diversity teachers are supposed to bash white men, of course, because according to her, seemingly, what else are they there for? I started interacting in the thread disapprovingly because I felt a bit disappointed in her. This was a girl that I would sleep in the same bed with on numerous occasions after partying, and had once felt very close to. So the fact that she was being so flagrantly and publicly racist and sexist against people of my gender and skin color was a bit troubling. Of course, once I expressed disappointment in her, numerous people used the opportunity to jump down my throat and call me something like a racist sympathizer who was siding with oppression or something like that. It was pure lunacy that at the time, back in 2013 or so, I was not entirely expecting. Eventually, another white guy said something to the effect of, "You should have asked the guy, what's your point? What's wrong with bashing white males?" And I said in response, "Yeah, I agree. It would be interesting to hear him explain himself." What happened? Well, of course, immediately the guy said, "I take that back. I don't agree with Prince in any way. Forget that I said that." I was like, "What? I'm not allowed to agree with people? I can't even agree with you anymore." And the guy just said, "No, I'm just saying that I said something that I didn't mean, and that I don't agree with you." A likely story. I think he agreed with me, but just didn't want to admit it. The next instance of something like this happening was when I was talking to a woman that I knew in high school at my high school reunion. She is a feminist, but I was friends with her in high school, so we were able to momentarily have a pleasant conversation. I explained to her that I had started a YouTube channel because certain social justice advocates and feminists had gone completely bonkers, to the point where they were saying absurd and extremely dishonest, bigoted statements, in particular about gay men. She asked, "Like what?" And I explained to her that there were numerous feminists that were claiming that gay men frequently sexually assault women, and yet get away with it because they are gay, like it's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. The woman I was talking to basically laughed and said, "Wow, yeah, that's ridiculous. Maybe that happened like 1 or 2 times. Ever." And I said, "Yeah, I know, it's absurd and downright homophobic. Gay men do not go around sexually assaulting women. And yet there are some famous feminists who perpetuate this myth. Feminists with big platforms." At which point she asked, "Like who?" And I said, "Well, the most famous one that I have noticed talking about such a thing is Kat Black." And then the expression on this woman's face changed as she said, "Oh, I know who Kat Black is." I said, "Yeah, well, she has an entire video about how gay men are supposedly horribly misogynistic and that supposedly gay men frequently sexually assault women. A long time ago, I thought that Kat Black might be somewhat reasonable, but I realize now that I was totally wrong." At which point, the woman I was talking to began defending both Kat Black and then even trying to claim that maybe gay men really do, in fact, frequently touch women's boobies, and maybe there are several women that do legitimately feel violated by gay men, and maybe this is a problem that people should actually care about. It was astounding. She went from laughing at the accusation and dismissing it to almost immediately defending it, given no further information outside of who was actually making this statement. I guess that if Kat Black says something, it must be true. This is the problem with ideologues. They will always find ways of seeing what they want to see based on whether or not it fits the ideology. I like to think I was never completely capable of doing that, but maybe I was. Regardless, I'm still very surprised that this video was put in restricted mode, this video of mine. I wish somebody at YouTube would actually watch it and take it out, but what am I going to do? That's all I have to say for this video.